Alright, today we're going to take a look at cleaning your bear claws. Too often times I think people get home with their trophy bear and they elect to put the claws in the freezer and they never really get around to cleaning these things, or if they do, it's done improperly and a lot of times they're wasted. It's a really cool thing to keep. It's a little bit of work, but like most things in life, the more work you put into something, I think the more you appreciate it anyway. We'll start with the claw, how it's removed from the bear. It should be removed right behind the knuckle. The better a job you do at removing the bear claw from the foot, the better off you're going to be. If you'll look on this particular one, which is a pretty small claw, you can see the last little toe pad right there. Well, if you'll cut just behind that, there's almost a scalloped indentation. Difficult to see on here, but it's quite easy to feel into that joint right there. That's where you want to take that toe off. If you lop it off way back here, it's going to be a lot more work down the road. Trust me on that one. Alright, this is the raw prep for it. You get home, your toes are removed like this by your guide or by yourself, and then you've got a lot of hair and skin left on here. The more of this you can get off before we move on, the better off you're going to be. If you leave all of this on and let it dry, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. So get you an X-Acto knife or something like that and just start peeling away. Do a little bit of work here. I'm not going to go all the way with this, but you can also put them down on the board and just cut away this skin. Once you get it going, and do this when you're not in a hurry one day and you'll do a better job of it, but just start cutting away. And again, it takes a little bit of time. Now, when you get through, you're going to have what's left is almost like a little umbrella of skin that's left over the nail, and that's okay. You're not going to be getting any more than that. You're not going to get any more off. What you have to be very careful of is that you don't damage the nail itself, because that's what this is. There's a bone here, and then there's simply a nail, just like you've got over the bone on the end of your finger. You don't want to damage the nail. So get as much as you can, and eventually you'll be left with something that looks a bit like this. This one's already dry because we're about to work on this, but that's what it's going to look like. So that's where we're going to move to now. Let me back up just a hair. You want to let these dry, and I mean dry completely. Put them in a hot, sunny place, protect them from birds and rodents, and let these things dry completely. I would say at least 7-8 days in the sun. That's a critical element. This is soft up in here, just like up under your nails. If you try to clean them too early, it's just going to be more difficult. Alright, let's take one of these. This is a bigger claw here. This one's dried in the sun, and you see it will not come apart. You've got the bone here, the nail here, and it will not come apart. I mean, with all my might, I can't pull it apart. That's because this umbrella of skin has dried over the top of the nail. But let me show you how easy this is to remove. Be careful with these knives. I've cut myself twice today already, but you want to start prying up a little bit, and once you pry it just a little bit, that nail is going to slip right out. See how easy that was? Nothing to it at all. Now you can really see this umbrella. This is old dried skin. This is bone. Hear the difference in the sounds? We've got to get every bit of this off. We're going to do this with a couple of different tools. One is this knife, utility knife. And again, be very careful. Again, a great way to do this is just to put it down on a heavy board. I'm on a plastic bucket. It's not working very well, but and then just pop it away. Once you get it going, it's really not that difficult to do, and you don't need to get every bit of it, because the next tool that we're going to use is going to be a Dremel tool, and it'll really speed up the process. You do want to get as much of it as possible. You're going to know when you get into bone because you can't cut it, but you can see how this skin and old tissue just flakes away. Get as much of it as you can. Now we're going to get this Dremel tool out. This is my tool of choice, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ones right here, but I like this hard stone versus the barrel sanders because it comes to a bit of a point and allows me to work into here. Now you can really see this knuckle joint in here, and you see how this tool, depending on where you put it, will fit all the way down in there for cleaning. And that's what we want to do today. You've got to get all of this flesh off of here. Even though this has been drying for 2 weeks, there's still a little bit moist down in here, a little bit of moisture, and you can see that this is skin. You can move it with your fingers, and you've got to get all this decaying flesh off of it, or it's just going to smell bad. Whether you're going to do it for jewelry or what I'm going to do with these particular claws is put them into a Euro mount, and we'll take a look at that at another video. But get it all off, and it's really not that difficult to do. Now the trick here is to use a good bit of pressure to start, and then to finish you want to lighten up your pressure on the stone, and you can really shine these things up. So let's start by seeing how rough this thing really is. I mean, it's just terrible. Now watch what this stone will do in just a couple of minutes. Constantly flip it back and forth and to change your angles. Don't get stubborn and take off too much. And that's a great point before we go any further. Remember, this is going to be inserted back down into this claw. If you take too much material off, it's just going to fall into there. You can see that lip goes to here, and the arch of the knuckle should go right above the claw. If you go crazy with this Dremel tool, you're going to have something that falls down in there way too far. Now that can be fixed as well, but again, don't take any more off than you have to. The great thing about this stone too is it won't take your finger off. You can actually put it on your finger, but it'll do a number on the bone. Now we're going to go out on the tip here and just lightly sand to get all that old flesh and skin and other things off of there. Now I'm lightening up on my pressure, so basically I'm polishing now. Still got a little bit of cartilage and things like that on there. Rub it occasionally, because a lot of times you'll think you've got stuff that you don't on there that is just loose stuff laying around. Lighter and lighter pressure. Alright, there we go. Let's take a close look there. Got it pretty smooth, and again, if you wanted to use a little sandpaper or even like a buffing wheel on your Dremel tool, you could really shine these up. I like to expose this. Some people don't. Some people will flush them all the way down and cut it off. I like that knuckle. Eventually these will be bleached white. I'll bleach these with 40% peroxide and get these white, and then I'll take care of the nails just like you would your fingernails. We're going to buff these bad boys out and throw a clear coat on them, and they're going to be just gorgeous. Again, I didn't go too far. That's important. See, the bevel of the knuckle there is right there at the top. Now you can fill this in with epoxy, and I would highly recommend that. As a matter of fact, put as much as you need in there, slide the bone in place, or you could Gorilla Glue these in place and then fill this smaller area right there. But again, you want them all exactly the same, what you've got sticking out right there. And that makes for a pretty good bear claw cleaning. Alright, let's take a look at these claws. Now that we've got them completely clean, you can see how pretty they actually are. I'm going to actually get a buffing wheel. Don't have it right now, but I'm going to buff these things and get them to a extreme high luster, and then I'll clear coat them. But I think right here, this demonstrates exactly what we're talking about as far as everything fitting together. It's a big bear claw, and you can see you've got bone inside of a fingernail. There's nothing more to it. A lot of people just don't go to this much trouble, and that's a shame, and I'd have to put myself in that same category. My first 3 or 4 bears, I just really didn't know what to do with it, so I studied up and I started playing around with the tools and got some advice from some other folks, and they actually make a great keepsake. 2 of these are going to be for necklaces and the rest for my Euro mount, but there we go. Now I'll fill this in with epoxy. I'll glue them in place to get them exactly where I want them. I want that much of a reveal. And again, the bone will be bleached, so it'll have a great contrast here. I'll glue it in with Gorilla Glue, get it exactly where I want it, where it's got a nice clean edge like that. And then I'll fill this in with epoxy. I'll Dremel it down again flush. And once these are buffed out and clear coated, you just won't believe how beautiful they can be. You have to check your man card at the door. Go to the beauty supply, get your Clairol BW2. This is a powdered lightener. I'm going to open that up. Please wear gloves. This is extremely dangerous chemicals, and then obviously I'm outdoors, and there's a reason for that as well. Next product is a cream peroxide developer. Now, I don't really know what they do, but I do know that they work. Also at the beauty supply, you're talking about $3 or $4 worth of materials here, and this is more than enough material to do 2 skulls, 2 average sized bear skulls. We're going to mix this up. This brush can also be purchased at the beauty supply for about $1, and it really works well. It's pretty stiff, and it needs to be. A paintbrush, I guess, would work, but it's what this is designed to do. It does a good job of stirring. When you get it all mixed up well, again, eye protection, I've got it on. Hand protection for sure. This is 40% peroxide. This stuff will burn your skin. Not something you want to inhale. All right. Now I'm going to move on to the bear toes. These are actually the toes themselves that have come out of the claws that I showed you a little bit earlier. These are in place, in order. And boy, is that important. All you actually have to get clean is the back of the knuckle here. That's what's going to be exposed from the jewelry of the bear claw, or whatever you're going to use it for. We'll rub it in just a touch, but you can see the color of this now. Let's look at it in about 2 or 3 hours and you won't believe it. Again, the back of the knuckle is what's exposed. The whiter you get it, the prettier it's going to be. We're going to wrap those as well. Alright, let's go to our next step in finishing up these claws. As you can see, I've got them all laid out here in order. These are pulled, they're cleaned, put the whitener to them that I described earlier. They came out very, very nice. You can see it's very clean, odor free, dry, nice bones there. And that's going to go right into here. It's going to fit just like a puzzle. Remember, we've got our little shelf here that we're talking about, and that's where we want it to go. We want a little bit of the white to show for some contrast. Of course, if you want to, you can take them all the way down in there if that's the look you really want to go for. It's up to you. Alright, how do we get this ugly nail cleaned up? As you can see, it's got tons of scale on it. It's just in really, really bad shape. It's actually pretty easy to clean up, but again, you're going to use a Dremel tool. This is a Dremel finishing abrasive buff. It says abrasive, but it's really not. It's a very soft, like a plastic sponge here, and it's a great tool for the first step in the cleaning. And all we're going to do here is start to buff. Buff very lightly. This is a nail. It's just like a fingernail, and you can tear it all to shreds. Be careful of your edges. If it catches, it could snap. And you have to rotate it in your hand a lot to get the angle that you want. But just be patient with it. Again, do this on a Sunday when you got nothing else to do, where you can just sit around and relax. Take your time with it. Alright, you can see that it took all the loose scale particles off that claw. It's a little scratched up right now, but it's almost like, and you'll be able to see it in just a minute, a wood grain has appeared. So now we're going to take a drywall sanding block, and I mean this thing has zero abrasiveness to it. It's a finishing sander. I mean, it's almost like a piece of paper, but it's perfect for buffing these nails up. Again, start with a little bit of push, a little bit of effort, and then keep lightening as you go. The more effort you put in here, because this is pretty much your finished product right here. You're going to clear coat this thing and really bring out the colors, but if you get in a hurry here, you're kind of blowing it. Alright, let's take a look. Put a little water on it. Spit, that is. To let you see what you can do with just a couple of minutes of work. Now, I don't know if you can see those colors, but it's almost like a beautiful wood grain that comes out in these things, and when the clear coat hits this bad boy, it's going to be gorgeous. And then you can see your contrast now. You put this back together. Whether you're going to make a pendant out of that or something else, it's just a beautiful, beautiful claw. Alright, let's move real quick to the final step here, or one of the final steps. I guess it's second to the end here. I want to show, because I wasn't very clear on this, that's the glue of choice. In my experience, that's been the best, because it has a pretty cool thing that it does. When you fill this claw up to about 30% and insert the bone, and you want to put it in a place that'll suspend it if possible, something like that. These little trays I got from a dollar store, they keep it up off the mat. One of the cool things about this glue is it expands about a ratio of 3 to 1. So if you fill 30% of this claw up, it's going to come out of this claw. It's going to basically flush itself out. But what you're going to be left with are these pieces that are all over the place. I mean, they'll just be expanded everywhere, and it's kind of discouraging till you realize that it's basically just a foam material and can be chipped away with your finger. Now, it's going to leave a little bit of a residual, no doubt about it. But again, we're going to take our wire wheel. It's not a wire wheel, let me correct that. It is called a finishing abrasive buff. You can see it there. It's very soft. Won't even hurt your hand if you touch the thing with it. And then you're going to, again, lightly, very lightly, buff this stuff off. That's the actual Dremel tool, so you'll know the exact name. All right, once we get it all cleaned off again, the cool thing is it's actually filled up this entire hollow section right here. It's very, very hard. Without filling that area in, it's very, very fragile. And over a period of years, I'm sure it would collapse or flake off. But you can see they're pretty buffed out. All right, we get them buffed, rough buffed with that, and then go into your girlfriend or your wife's nail care area and steal one of these. This is a Tropical Shine 4-way mini buffer. Again, check your man card at the door. It has 4 different abrasive finishes on it. You can start, depending on the roughness of this, they should be pretty smooth. I go with just the white, which is number 3 on here, and then I finish with the gray. Again, set down when you got plenty of time and start buffing. And you can get these things to an incredible shine. And I don't know if you can see it, but this thing can really, really get shiny. So now you're at the last step. I'm not going to show that because it doesn't really matter, but now I'm going to clear coat these things. But you can see they turned out super nice. Really shiny. I like that white reveal, and also the bone gives you something really, really solid to put a chain or whatever you're going to do with these things through for a necklace or what have you. But there you go. All that's left is I'll suspend them somehow and I'll clear coat them and then put them to work.
Alright, finished product. This is after 3 coats of lacquer, spray lacquer have been applied, and you can see it, they turned out super nice. Very clean, almost a jewelry quality to them. Pretty proud of it. Takes a long time, like I've said several times in this little demonstration, but any project that you put that much work into, you can't help but kind of take pride in it when it's all done. Hope this helped. Now shoot you a bear.